the state of California is trying to prevent pro-life pregnancy help centers from promoting the abortion pill reversal and seeking $20 million in penalties. To talk with us about this is our next guest, Michael New, a senior associate scholar at the Charlotte Lozer Institute and assistant professor of practice at the Catholic University of America and a returning guest of Epiphany. And the Thomas More Society hired him as an expert witness, concluded his testimony on Wednesday, and made it back to the Washington, D.C. area to talk with us about this today. Michael, thank you for joining us again here on Epiphany.
Thanks for having me. Much appreciated.
So let's talk about the academic research showing about the abortion pill reversal and the effectiveness. Let's tell us about that.
Sure. There have been at least 5 studies that I was able to cite and include in my expert report. And combined, they show that, abortion pill reversal succeeds at least 60% of the time. There's no guarantee, but if a woman takes that first abortion pill, mifepristone, has a change of heart, and talks to a physician, she can take a dose of progesterone, and that dose of progesterone will counteract that first pill. And there's probably at least a 60% chance she'll be able to carry that pregnancy to term and it'll be a healthy baby. So there's good research. It's more than one study. We did a lot of different statistical tests. I think our arguments are very solid.
And so tell us about the state of California trying to prevent this. Give us a background about this and what your testimony involved. Why were you called in?
Well, California is a very liberal state, and one thing we're seeing in a lot of politically liberal parts of the country is that pregnancy centers are really getting a lot of harassment from local elected officials and local politicians, and California, this is no exception. So you have RealOptions, which is a nice chain of pro-life pregnancy help centers. One of the things they do is they advertise abortion pill reversal. So again, if a woman takes that first pill, but has a change of heart, she can talk to a physician, get progesterone, and very likely save the pregnancy. So they're trying to argue that this is just false advertising, that we're misleading women, that it's kind of violates some false advertising statutes. The case is not strong at all. I mean, on free speech grounds, the false advertising laws apply when you're trying to make money, but pro-life pregnancy help centers don't make money off this. They offer this service, other services are free. So I think on constitutional grounds we're solid. And we just have a good body of research from different studies showing that this does work. And there's going to be a lot of people testifying at the trial, including at least 3 women who went through abortion pill reversal and did carry pregnancy to term successfully. So the Thomas More Society is doing a great job. They have a good team of experts. You can never tell what's going to happen in any trial, but they're certainly making a very strong case to keep this around.
So, Michael, you just talked about the women who will be testifying. So there's stories of women who have successfully gone through the abortion pill reversal. Can you share any of those stories with us? Or?
Well, there's one woman in particular who I think story is very poignant because she didn't want to have a chemical abortion. Her partner kind of snuck an abortion pill either in a drink or in a meal. And when she realized what was happening, she became aware of abortion pill reversal, called the hotline, was put in touch with a physician, and they were able to get, this reversed. And she carried a pregnancy to term, and mother and child are doing very well right now. So this shows that, having chemical abortion pills, easily accessible can lead to a lot of misconduct, and that abortion pill reversal is a good option, especially for women who are coerced into abortions they don't want to have.
Wow. I can't imagine a guy thought it would be okay to sneak an abortion pill without the woman's knowledge. I mean, is there any crime against that? I mean, at all? I mean, can he legally do that?
I'm sure that it's illegal. Again, if a woman wants to carry a pregnancy to term and for any reason someone attacks her or does something to the unborn child that she does not want done, I'm sure that's illegal. But again, the good thing is that in horrible situations like this, if a woman does figure out what happened, abortion pill reversal is an option. Again, it's not 100% effective. No one's arguing it is. We want women to do this under medical supervision. But again, if a woman does get progesterone early on, that first pill can be reversed, and there's a pretty good chance she can go ahead and carry a healthy pregnancy to term.
Yeah, and I know it's not. I know it's not part of a legal issue of this case, but Michael, that story just alone just kind of opens up a whole nother problem of how men can do this, or anybody can do that to a woman without her knowledge, who wants to keep her baby. That's quite scary, actually.
Well, it's really unfortunate because it's very easy to order abortion pills online. There's online vendors that don't operate under the auspices of the FDA. They don't check, the age. They don't of the gestation age of the child. They don't ask for the age of the person requesting the pill. They don't verify who's requesting the pill. It's very easy for a man to just jump online to one of these websites, order a pill, and do awful things. So again, the FDA needs to clamp down on this. That before the pandemic, if a woman wanted to have a chemical abortion, she at least had to have an in-person visit with a medical professional. During the pandemic, that ended, and sadly, the Biden administration and the Trump administration continue this unwise policy. Again, a top priority for pro-lifers has to be putting limits on chemical abortion.
Mm. So, Michael News here with us on Epiphany today. You just finished up your testimony on Wednesday, right, Michael?
Yes, I did.
Okay. The state of California is trying to prevent pro-life pregnancy help centers from promoting abortion pill reversal and is seeking $20 million in penalties. So they're actually seeking $20 million. I'm trying to understand what the state of California is trying to stop it, but they're actually trying to get money.
Yeah, absolutely. They're arguing that the pregnancy centers violated some false advertising laws, and they're seeking a fine of $20 million, which would really be crippling. I mean, pro-life pregnancy centers are not wealthy entities.
Sick.
They really rely on volunteers and often small donations to get by. I don't think it's likely that such a fine will go through, but it really does show the state's being very aggressive and trying to help these places that are simply trying to help women. I mean, it really shows that our opponents aren't just pro-choice; they're pro-abortion. Pregnancy centers are just offering alternatives, voluntarily to women who want to carry pregnancies to term, and the fact they're getting all kinds of harassment and frankly abuse from politicians, in these liberal parts of the country. It really shows that, a lot of people out there are not simply pro-choice, they're pro-abortion. They want women to obtain abortions. And it's just tragic that we even have to go through this.
Well, I mean, we've seen this for decades, Michael. If they were truly pro-choice, as they say, then they would put all that information on the table for women to make a very educated choice instead of not sharing all the information they need to women, all the side effects and negative ramifications to abortion. And we've seen this for decades in the pro-choice, so-called pro-choice movement, which really is a pro-abortion movement for many people.
Right. If they were truly pro-choice, they would happily advertise pregnancy centers. This is an option for you.
Exactly.
Here, there is help available. There's lots of public and private sources of support for pregnant women who do want to carry to term, and there's support for single mothers out there. And even as someone who does sidewalk counseling for the DC Planned Parenthood, the clinic escorts are very eager to, when I give out a pamphlet, they try to take the pamphlet away. And I'm like, look, this is a pamphlet information. The women can read it, make their own decision. But very often, if I hand somebody a pamphlet, they'll offer to take that pamphlet away. That's not pro-choice. That's frankly coercion.
Yeah. Michael News here with us. Now, tell us, I understand there was expert witness for the state of California refused to testify that APR does not work and refused to testify that APR is unsafe. Can you tell us about that?
Other side has their own team of experts. They've called up a statistician. They've called up a doctor. And the doctor, when he was called up, he even said that he wouldn't say for certain it didn't work. He said he was skeptical, but he wouldn't come out and say this doesn't work because he probably knows it does. He knows the research is out there, and again, they're trying to argue it causes it might increase the risk of birth defects. We have data on this. The rate of birth defects among babies born through APR is actually lower than the overall birth defect rate. So this doctor couldn't testify that it likely increases the increase in birth defects. He said it could, but anything could happen. Saying something could happen, isn't really strong testimony. But based on the existing data, again, the rate of birth defects is actually lower than the average or lower than what we would expect. So the other side's experts are not really, in my opinion, doing a great job for the state of California.
Michael New, I like to ask guests on Fridays, we have Faith at Work Friday and how we take our faith to work with us every single day and everything that we're doing. Can you give us an example of how you take your faith to work with you every day?
Well, full-time I teach at Catholic University of America. I teach economics to students who enroll in our business school. And I always have a saying that I always look forward to whoever God's going to put in front of me every semester. Every class is a potential chance to change some student's life. And I'm in a very good position to mentor and work with a great group of young people. And my job is to, do more than just show up and teach an economics class. It's my job is to kind of live the faith, be an example, mentor students. It's not just there to show up and write equations on a board and grade exams. I'm there to be kind of a role model for the students and, really try to help them set an example that will kind of help them live a good Catholic life.
Michael, what else do you want people to know about the work that you're doing, this particular case and the pro-life movement? What else do you want to share with our listeners today as an opportunity to share whatever you want with them today?
Yeah, sure. I just want to say that, pro-lifers, we were never promised a smooth glide path to victory. We won a big victory with Dobbs 4 years ago. To some extent, things have happened in the aftermath, it hasn't gone exactly as we would have liked. We've lost some, ballot campaigns. The Trump administration isn't prioritizing putting limits on, chemical abortions the way we'd like. But we're in this for the long haul. And I think that's really important to remember. I mean, one thing I tell a lot of pro-life audiences is that since 1980, we've cut the abortion rate in half in this country. And that's a big deal. If the abortion rate today was what it was back in 1980, there'd be 1 million more abortions taking place every year. So by getting involved in politics, by running pregnancy centers, praying, sidewalk counseling, educating our friends and our peers, I would say we save 1 million babies every year, and we spare 1 million women a lifetime of regret. So short-term things aren't always going to go our way, but long-term we've made impressive progress. I always encourage people, just don't get discouraged. No matter where you are, you can build a culture of life. You can donate to a pregnancy center. You can pray. You can sidewalk counsel. These are all great ways to build a culture of life.
Michael, for those who are listening who want to get involved in the pro-life movement and are a little hesitant, what would you say to them? You just mentioned some great examples of how they could do that, but what would you say for those who feel the call but they're a little nervous?
Well, first, I'd always say to pray and just look around. Is there a pro-life group with your parish? Is there a Right to Life group in your city or county? Is there a 40 Days for Life campaign near where you live? Chances are that there probably is. Is there a pregnancy resource center near where you live? Chances are there probably is. Go to the meeting. Visit the pregnancy center. Just listen to what their needs might be, and just think about your own strengths and what one thing God can use your gifts and talents to do, and try to use them in some way to go ahead and build a culture of life. And there's nothing wrong with if you start something, there's nothing wrong with starting haphazardly. Sometimes a haphazard effort is better than no effort. My first 40 Days for Life campaign didn't get a lot of coverage, but it did help, reach out to some pro-life people and help build things for the future. And sometimes go outside your comfort zone. God doesn't always call us to do what's easy or comfortable. I run a pro-life pregnancy. I run a pro-life sidewalk counseling ministry outside the D.C. Planned Parenthood. Is it always fun? No, it's not. But it's important to do. And I always say it's the best and the worst thing I do every week. A lot of the pro-life work I do is fun, like writing, testifying, being on these great radio shows. But sometimes we have to do stuff that's not fun. And parking myself in front of that clinic is not always fun, but it's important to do. And good things do flow from that. So people should just get involved. You don't have to be the perfect person. You don't have to be Superman. Everybody has talents and skills and gifts they can use to advance this cause.
Thank you so much, Michael. It's always a pleasure to have you on Epiphany and share with us the latest in the pro-life movement and all the work that you're doing. And God bless you for all the work that you do for the pro-life movement.
Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for all you do. God bless.
Thank you. Michael New, Senior Associate Scholar at the Charlotte Lozer Institute and Assistant Professor of Practice at the Catholic University of America, testified recently on behalf of the Thomas More Society, hired him as an expert witness in the California versus RealOptions case going on right now. They're trying to prevent the pro-life pregnancy help centers from promoting the abortion pill reversal, and they're actually seeking $20 million in penalties from the pregnancy centers. So Michael's keeping us abreast of that story and that ongoing case, and we'll have him back on to give us an update as it comes to fruition. We'll see what happens with that case.